Lots of big breaking news coming out, and top US officials are issuing an emergency message. And it is related to all of these things going on inside the United States right now. There is complete chaos happening inside the US, and we are getting hit after hit. And now top officials are coming out and warning that things are going to get even worse. And they are warning that we need to get prepared right now. All right. So let's dive into all the news here that's happening. We are seeing massive cyber attacks on multiple companies. All right. We are seeing potentially 100,000 restaurants under a cyber attack right now in the US. 100,000. We're seeing top pharmaceutical companies under cyber attacks right now as well. We are seeing flights being grounded nationwide today in the US as well due to, quote, glitches that could be potential cyber attacks. And we are also seeing more AI warnings from top experts and top CEOs giving us devastating warnings on AI. And this is all interconnected. So we're going to cover all these things happening inside the world and inside the US because they are leading us down this path and they are unleashing these technologies onto us. And we are moving closer towards a dystopia with these cyber attacks, with these emergency warnings that they are giving us, and with this AI that they are unleashing. So let's get into all the stuff that's happening. Let's get into what's happening first with the FAA and with Southwest. So Southwest Airline has revealed that they experienced a, quote, system-wide glitch, and we keep having these glitches, which are not glitches at all. They are intentional attacks on our critical infrastructure and our transportation grid in the United States. And you can see here Southwest chaos with more than 1,700 flights delayed after system-wide computer glitch grounded fleet and left frustrated passengers stuck at terminals and trapped on planes. All right, so system-wide glitch. And this happened to the FAA in January. They had a system-wide computer outage that grounded every single flight in the United States. And it's right here. FAA reveals what caused computer outage, prompting ground stop. And they're saying that it was caused by an unintentional deleted computer file. So this was very suspicious. This was an internal sabotage, it looks like to me. This was a contractor that had access to the FAA's database and their servers, and they went in and deleted code out of their servers and updated their servers, all right? And this happened when no one was supposed to be doing anything on their servers for 6 more years. It was like 5 or 6 more years. They didn't need an update or anything like that. And this rogue contractor went in and deleted code on their servers and caused a system-wide outage for the FAA. So is this what happened to Southwest Airlines as well? And we're going to get to over 100,000 restaurants are at potential risk. We're going to get to that in just a second from a massive cyber attack too. They are having parts of their operations shut down right now. And top US officials are giving an emergency message related to these cyber attacks. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But let's just remind everyone what happened here. This could happen to banks as well too. All right, I made a whole video about this 2 months ago, how Bank of America had a glitch. They are just covering and saying these are glitches. These are dry runs for massive cyber disruptions to our critical infrastructure. And Bank of America had a massive, quote, glitch. Millions of dollars of people's funds just vanished. And that's just what I could personally verify on social media. I saw adding up to millions of dollars, people reporting on social media saying that money is just gone from their accounts. So this was a massive hit as well. Thankfully, they were able to restore it. But some of these accounts, it took weeks, even months to restore the money. And this happened to Wells Fargo as well too. So this happened to Bank of America first a couple months ago. And then last month, early March, Wells Fargo glitch shows negative balances missing direct deposits. What are the odds that all of these glitches keep happening. And what happens when they do hit a bank, when they hit the electric grid, when they hit a critical infrastructure point that you need in your everyday life? Do you have cash? I put it in the title of this headline for Bank of America, get cash now. You should always have some kind of currency available for you. Even coins, even change is becoming more valuable. Quarters, things like this, pennies, because they don't make them anymore. They're not making any change. So even change is becoming more valuable. It's losing its value through inflation, but if there's a banking collapse, change and coins, gold coins, silver dollars, Sacagawea dollar coins, whatever, all these things will be more valuable when there is a banking glitch, a massive banking glitch or disruption that we could see, all right? And they're happening with more and more frequency. And now we're seeing even another cyber attack on our restaurant industry. So you can see here the Aloha point of sale system, which is used by over 100,000 restaurants nationwide, has been hit with a massive cyber attack. So this encompasses a massive amount of restaurants, and they're not able to do complex things like payroll. They're not able to process their payrolls, and this could cause massive disruptions inside their businesses. Think about when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, all right? People had accounts with them, like Etsy. All the sellers on Etsy are not able to get paid because their money is locked up in these banks, all right? So it's just like a cyber attack. If their payroll systems are locked up, they are not able to pay their employees, and then their employees, 100,000 restaurants, they're not all able to pay their employees. And then what happens to the economy? What happens to these people's rent, these people's electric bills? They're not able to afford things. Something so basic and fundamental to a restaurant, a point of sale system, which is just the little system that allows you to pay, put your card in, whatever it is, all right? You tap your card, give them cash. It allows them to process the payment system. And this has been hit directly. And it's perfect because it encompasses all these restaurants. And this other restaurant, Supplier, was even hit last month as well. So apparent cyber attack halts deliveries for big distributor Ben E. Keith. And this is a distributor for tons of fast food restaurants down south and in Texas mostly. And they had disruptions to supplying their goods to the restaurants due to a massive cyber attack. This happened to Dole as well last month. Dole Fruits and Vegetables had to shut down some of their biggest assembly lines in California due to a massive cyber attack. So they are doing dry run after dry run, and they are getting us ready. If you saw my video a few days ago, they were cyber attacking 3 of the biggest ports in Canada. All right, they were cyber attacking Montreal, Halifax, and Quebec, I believe, were the 3 ones that they were attacking and shutting down their websites and their communications. So they are doing dry runs to have a massive cyber attack and a massive cyber event, and we need to get prepared for it. And top officials are even warning of it. We're going to get to that in just a second. They're warning of societal panic, quote, societal panic. So we're going to get to that in just a second. And then there's more AI warnings that don't even make sense, all right, that are mind-boggling. The things that these CEOs are saying don't even make sense. We're going to get to that in just a second. But you can see here that even a German pharmaceutical company was cyber attacked and shut down as well. One of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in Germany and in Europe, Evotech SE, was hit with a massive cyber attack, and they took all their internal systems offline. Also, another German manufacturing company that is a contractor with the military industrial complex in Germany, they had a cyber attack, and it shut down part of their automobile plants and their automobile production. They're saying that it didn't affect their military businesses, but they're admitting that it did affect their automobile production, which actually probably does affect their military business because they use the same factories to make military vehicles that they do civilian vehicles. All right, a lot of these companies are the same exact companies, and they use the same factories and a lot of the same parts to build both of them. So if it's shutting down the civilian side of the automobiles, it's probably shutting down also military automobile production and part production. So this is huge. We're seeing cyber attack after cyber attack, and this is something that could shut down our society as a whole. And we've even had Klaus Schwab warn of this, that a cyber event could be much worse than anything we've ever seen, all right, in any event in history. He said a massive cyber event could be the big one, all right? And he also warned just a month ago of a, quote, black swan event that is coming very soon, and he warned of that at the World Government Summit. So these things are accelerating, and it's getting closer every single day, more cyber attacks every single day, and top officials are even warning of it. So let's dive into that here. And this is an article out of Politico, and top U.S. officials are warning of, quote, societal panic. We're going to get to all this stuff, but it says here, what will it look like if China launches cyber attacks in the U.S.? They are getting us ready for this. They are priming us for this, for these cyber attacks, and we need to get prepared. That's why I'm hitting on them so hard, because the military is coming out. NATO's warning. Top generals are warning. The head of the Space Force is warning. All these top officials just keep coming out and are saying the cyber attacks are coming. So we need to get ready. So let's dive into what this article is saying. Chinese hackers are likely to target U.S. military networks and other critical infrastructure in the event of an invasion of Taiwan. Top lawmakers, the U.S. intelligence community, and cybersecurity officials have warned in recent weeks that if an invasion happens, China would likely try to hobble critical U.S. systems with cyber attacks on military transport systems like ports, railroads, or key civilian services like water and electricity. This is in Politico. All right. And if you've been watching my video, you've probably seen all of these massive warnings that they've had the past few weeks. And now there's another warning, and Politico is now picking up on all these warnings saying, hey, what's going on here? Something big is about to happen. And they also said, quote, if Xi Jinping moves on Taiwan, we should assume he'll launch cyber attacks against the United States as part of the operation. Rep. Mike Gallagher said, the chair of the House Select Committee on China, in an emailed statement. Quote, this would likely include attacks on our electrical grid, water systems, and communications infrastructure, especially near key military installations. So they are telling us, guys, that this is going to happen very soon, and we need to get ready. That's why I brought up those ports that I was talking about the other day. 3 major ports in Canada were hit with cyber attacks just last week. They are doing dry runs. They are getting prepared. That's why I wanted to cover all these massive cyber attacks before I got to this big news, because it's already happening. It's already in our face, and we could wake up at any moment, just like these banks collapsed overnight. You woke up one day, the Fed shut down your bank. We could wake up one day and a massive cyber attack has taken out our electrical grid, our infrastructure, our ports, all these things he's warning of. And he's saying, or against key civilian services like water or electricity. So it doesn't even have to be a military attack against military infrastructure. They could say these ports, these railroads are providing support to the military. It could just be civilian things as well, your water, the grid. So we need to be prepared. They're getting us ready for something really big, and it's coming quick. If you haven't seen all of these drills with Taiwan that China has been doing, China has absolutely been surrounding Taiwan and doing dry runs for invasions, and they have been cutting their underwater internet cables, and they are getting ready to invade Taiwan. And the U.S. has even discussed situations to destroy the chip factories in Taiwan so China cannot seize control of them. This is the level that we are at. We are now on the verge of a proxy war with China as well, and these cyber attacks are going to escalate. They were even warning of massive cyber attacks coming from North Korea soon as well. And we saw North Korea just launch an ICBM, and it landed right in the waters, in Japanese waters, wasn't in international waters, in Japanese waters, didn't hit the land, but landed in their waters, in ICBM, and could have been devastating at the northern part of the island of Japan. All right, so these things are escalating, and they are getting us ready for a massive cyber attack, and they are warning of, quote, societal collapse. All right, and they also are giving us an emergency AI warning again. We will get to that in just a second. But you can see here, quote, if Beijing feared that a major conflict with the U.S. was imminent, it would almost certainly consider undertaking aggressive cyber operations against U.S. homeland critical infrastructure and military assets worldwide, the U.S. intelligence community's annual threat assessment released in February warned. Quote, such a strike would be designed to deter U.S. military action by impeding U.S. decision-making, inducing societal panic, and interfering with the deployment of U.S. forces. So this is a very serious warning that the intelligence community gave us in February as well. They're saying that a cyber attack would, quote, induce societal panic. That's why I've been covering these things in society where we see decay, where we see collapse, because if there's a massive cyber attack, if there's a massive event that they keep warning us of, then it's going to be what we see but times 100. It's going to be affecting everyone in every city. 350 million Americans will be affected, and it will be chaos. And in the city is where a lot of the action is going to be. And things are getting so serious that they are even running simulations to see what they would do in the event of a massive cyber attack on the United States. So check out what they did here. So it says House Republicans ran through a Chinese invasion of Taiwan scenario at their policy retreat last month. Cybersecurity quickly came up as an issue. One member playing the role of Secretary of Homeland Security was forced to pick between three options on how to best use limited U.S. cyber defense resources. So here are the three options. Defend networks critical to military deployment, focus on protecting networks used for day-to-day life, or fight a widespread Chinese disinformation campaign online. And the member chose to save the military networks, defend the military networks, critical to military deployment. So that means networks that are used for day-to-day life would take the hit. They are the lowest priority, and they are going to get hit. And they're even saying that they're running war scenarios to see what they would do. And what are you going to pick here? Are you going to pick to? It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, it's absolutely insane. And that means that our day-to-day life network is going to be shut off. It also went on to say the lawmakers alleged that China could shut down the cranes to delay aid to Taiwan. So that's how they would cyber attack the ports, is by hitting cranes directly. Republican leaders of the House Homeland Security Committee subsequently sent a letter to the DHS asking about cyber vulnerabilities at maritime ports. Quote, if an adversary exploits the operational technology system of these cranes, port operations could be completely shut down, the lawmakers wrote. So they're saying they could directly access the software of the cranes. And I'm sure cranes do not have very high cybersecurity measures. I'm sure there's not like multi-factor authentication to get into your crane or anything like that. So it is possible that they could get into these critical infrastructures, even pipelines, water supplies, electrical grids, anything. Everything is connected to the internet now, and it is vulnerable to these cyber attacks and to this manipulation to be shut down. So that is what top U.S. officials are warning of, and they're all coming together. House of Representatives officials, Congress, top cybersecurity officials, top intelligence officials. All of these groups are coming together and saying that there's going to be a massive cyber attack on the US and we need to be prepared for it. And they're also giving us an emergency AI warning. All right. A top CEO is giving us a warning on AI. And it's crazy what's going on because it is advancing at rapid rates that they can't even keep up with it. So you can see here, even the Google CEO is admitting that experts don't fully understand how AI works. And he was given examples that AI was learning languages that they never taught it before and was able to respond in languages never been taught. He was also saying that AI is able to solve complex problems, and they even cite made up books as sources. So they're able to solve complex issues, complex problems, and give very complex answers. And their citing is made up books. They can make up books and say, hey, I got it from this book that doesn't even exist, make up authors as well. So he's saying that it's very profound what's happening right now, and it's very deep, and it's deeper than we know, and we don't actually fully understand what's going on. And AI is connected to these cyber attacks because this other headline right here too, AI cyber attacks are, quote, a critical threat. This is how NATO is countering them. So even NATO knows that AI is being unleashed, and they're saying that they are using AI themselves to defend against these cyber attacks and detect them before they become an issue. But it goes both ways. It's a double-edged sword. So the cyber attacks are also getting much more advanced in the coding, and potentially maybe AI will be able to write its own coding language only understood by AI and able to write advanced ransom code in this advanced language that nobody can even access or write, and there's no way to even get around it. Just like he said, it's learning its own languages. What if it creates its own computer language that nobody knows, nobody understands, and it creates highly advanced code and cyber attacks us and ransomware locks us out of systems, and there's no way to even crack the code because no one even understands the code. It's like a completely foreign language that no one's ever seen before. This is a territory that we are moving into, and it's even deeper than that because they want to cyber attack our infrastructure. They want to cyber attack things physically, but they also want to cyber attack humans directly. All right. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, but stick with me here. All right. These things are happening right now. Look at all these headlines. These three headlines go together perfectly. So the first one here is scientists are now teaching AI how to read human minds. So they are teaching it to read your brain waves and know what you're thinking, and they're able to perfect it with AI. This is getting very dangerous, very scary, because your brain oscillates waves. Every single thought that you have has a brain wave attached to it, and they are able to read those oscillating waves and determine exactly what your brain is doing. You can also see here AI is recreating what people see by reading their brain scans. This is giving me chills. This is insane. So they are able to scan your brain, know exactly what you're thinking, and then also create a picture of it. So you could be thinking of a picture. I'm thinking of this mountain, Bob Ross Mountain, beautiful picture painting. It will be able to recreate it to it's like 90% accuracy of what you're thinking in your mind, right? You could have an image in your mind and the AI can read your brain waves. I'm getting chills. That's why I'm saying it over again so I can process this, because we are living in the future. This is absolutely insane. And it says the new artificial intelligence system can reconstruct images a person saw based on their brain activity. This is dystopian, and they are doing this on purpose, unleashing this technology on purpose. That's why the CEO is saying we are at a point where we don't even understand what's going on, and it's getting so advanced that even militaries are starting to use it to potentially control people. So if you can read their brainwaves, if you can process them, what if you can use electromagnetic frequencies to change people's brainwaves? And that is exactly what China has been working on for at least a decade, and the US has even sanctioned a bunch of their companies related to their military because they've been working on stuff like this. So this is an article out of the Washington Times. Chinese, quote, brain control warfare work revealed. We are living in the future. These things are all around us. Even right now, my computer is connected to Wi-Fi. It's invisible technology, but these are radio frequency, electromagnetic frequency waves that are interacting with my computer, and my computer is sending them back, and it's sending information all around us. These electromagnetic frequencies are everywhere, and we can only see a very small spectrum of them, which is refracted light. All right, that's what we can see. We can't even see the entire spectrum of electromagnetic frequencies. There's an entire world out there that we can't see, and they're now merging that world with AI, and it is very dangerous. Let's get into what this article said really quick too. It says the Commerce Department imposed sanctions on Chinese technology companies. This was from 2021, December 29, 2021, out of the Washington Times. So this was a couple years ago, but this is still happening, and this has been going on for at least a decade now. The Commerce Department imposed sanctions on Chinese technology companies and announced recently that China's military is engaging in dangerous work related to, quote, brain control warfare research. This stuff is real. This genetic and brain manipulation of humans with electromagnetic frequencies. And they went on to say, quote, they are using biotechnology processes to support Chinese military end users to include purported brain control weaponry. All right, so this is a real thing, and even our own U.S. government sanctioned a bunch of Chinese technology companies because they said they were helping China develop this technology in real time. So these are things that we need to be aware of. All of these technologies are being unleashed onto the public right now, and it's very dangerous, all right? They are going to implement a massive cyber attack, and they want to reset the monetary system, reset the internet, reset the electrical grid with this attack. And they're even warning it. We keep getting warning after warning with banks. They're even saying cash will become, quote, less usable as High Street goes contactless, says Bank of England. And they said cash is to become, quote, less usable as shoppers embrace the internet and high street stores increasingly reject banknotes, the deputy governor of the Bank of England has warned. All right, so they're even saying that companies are going to start rejecting banknotes, and they're going to say it's less usable to use cash. They're going to force this on people. They want to have a central world government digital currency. That's what they want. That's the goal. That's why we are seeing all of these countries move towards a collapse scenario at once. And we are seeing us move towards a war. All of these countries are moving towards a massive war at once as well. So we need to get prepared now. They're unleashing this dystopian technology. And there are even people that claim they are victims of these frequency manipulations. All right, there are people that claim to have Havana Syndrome. You've probably heard of that. Even top U.S. government officials have said they have experienced Havana Syndrome, where they have brain injuries and they have amnesia and they aren't able to hear anymore and they lose motor function skills and all of these things. And they were even talking about with this brain control in this article for the Chinese that one of the techniques that they have is they are able to paralyze people with electromagnetic frequencies. They are able to pinpoint electromagnetic frequencies at certain individuals, high-powered frequencies, and paralyze them. All right, This is all real stuff. And even top government officials, it was a whole scandal a few years ago, and they called it Havana Syndrome because a bunch of officials, when they went to Cuba, apparently they picked up the syndrome, and they were speculating that they potentially got hit with high-powered frequency weapons. So these things exist. We're living in the future. You need to get prepared. Even living in the city, think about it. It's just drenched in cell phone towers, 5G towers, Wi-Fi routers are everywhere. There's Wi-Fi routers stacked on top of each other. There's a cell phone tower every block. We're constantly being blanketed in electromagnetic radiation. And who really knows what these things can do in a war scenario, in a Shtf scenario? Who really knows what these things can do? And it's best to get away from these systems, right? To opt out of these systems, to not be where there's any 5G, where there's any high-powered frequencies, because these things are related to cyber attacks. They can also use them to implement cyber attacks, to damage other electronics, to implement EMP-like events, all right? 5G is a very high-powered frequency antenna. It is thousands of times more powerful than 4G, and it could potentially be used to implement EMP-like events, all right, to wipe out other electronic systems in the area, to hit grid systems, to hit electronic systems that are vulnerable to these high-powered frequencies. Even the FAA has recently issued emergency warnings for planes to install shielding to protect their instruments, their highly sensitive instruments, from 5G frequencies. These things are real, and they're very powerful, and they're invisible, though. That's why it's so hard to just, like, some people can't comprehend it or they don't believe it, because there are invisible frequencies. Wi-Fi is right in this room with me right now. I'm being radiated with Wi-Fi as I sit here. Terrible for me, all right? It's another form of pollution. It's another form of toxins that really isn't talked about, really isn't exposed. You know, we know chemical toxins. We talk about all the time on this channel about these explosions, these chemical factories, these derailments, these spills, all these things happening. But there are other toxins as well. Electromagnetic frequency, electromagnetic radiation is very toxic to you too. And it's very carcinogenic as well. So get off the grid as much as possible. Get away from these things as much as possible. Start producing your own food as much as possible. I have big goals this year for our off-grid property. We are going completely off-grid next month. We are building up our off-grid property from scratch. We're going to be living in an RV. We're going to be getting animals. We already have a ton of chickens. We're going to be growing big gardens. All this stuff's going to be going on because I want to live healthy. I want to live clean. I want to know where my food comes from. I don't want to be poisoned. I don't want my family to be poisoned. I have 2 small kids. I have a wife. I don't want us to be poisoned. And I want to be healthy, clean, safe, all right? So we're going completely off grid, and that really just feels like the only way to assure that you are living a clean, healthy life, all right? That you're not ingesting these toxins, that you're not constantly being poisoned 24/7. That seems like the only way to ensure it, is to grow your own food, is to have your own everything. The food supply is already poisoned, and they're trying to poison it even more. It's getting hit even harder, all right? And I was talking about how this was happening, all right? And I had a video taken down on here because I was talking about what's going on with our food supply, and I just got a little bit too hardcore, I guess, and you can't talk about that on here. So you need to grow your own food. You need to be as clean as possible with eating your own food, and that's the only way to ensure it, is to start growing it. And when the first time you eat your first lettuce, your first spinach, your first tomato, all these things, your first foods that you're going to eat, they taste so much different. It hits so much differently when it's your own food. It tastes so much better. And everyone I have sold food to, I used to do farmers markets for years and years with my wife before we had kids or anything. And everyone would always say, this is what food used to taste like. They would be like, food used to taste like this. It doesn't taste like anymore. They'd say it tastes like water now. It tastes like cardboard. And it just tastes so much better. It's filled with so much more nutrients as well, way more nutrient dense and way cleaner because you know exactly what's being put on your food. All right. So get going now, guys. Get prepared now. Please hit it up down there if you want to support the channel. Hit the like, hit the sub, all that good stuff for me. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a big old blessed day.